If you click this video, it's probably because you're struggling to find purpose in your life. You feel lost and you feel like there's just awaiting doom for you somewhere in your life. And you might be lost in life due to a bad breakup, you lost your job, or you just don't know what's next in life for you. Or you're just tired of repeating the same day over and over again. Dressing up in the same uniform, going to the same job, sitting in the same traffic at the same time. Well, I get it, because I'm tired of sitting in the same traffic, same city every single day of my life. Matter of fact, I have been through a traumatic breakup. I have lost like 10 jobs in my lifetime. I'm barely 22. One bad mistake could fuck up your life just by the way life is set up for you. For example, the ones that are going through a traumatic breakup and you're thinking, when am I going to find the next one? When am I going to feel loved again? The truth is, you might not feel that way ever again. And that's because the way society has manipulated the girls, the men, to interact when it comes to like sex or like relationships in general. Like, we don't consider these relationships spiritual or to have any meaning in life. So yeah, the truth is, you might not feel that same feeling you felt with your ex. And everybody's just lustful nowadays. And for the ones that lost a job, well, the truth is, you might not find another job. Because the way the job market is so bad and how AI is taking everybody's job, how everybody's in college for the same thing and all the applications are backed up, you might not find another job. The truth is, you have to do something different, something that nobody is willing to do. And I get it, you might be tired of all these situations and you're probably asking yourself, what is the point of living? And honestly, I think that is a valid question. And I also think the way you feel towards a breakup or losing your job and just feeling lost in life in general, I feel like those are valid feelings as well. Because I've been there. When I was younger, I didn't have long hair. You know, my dad would always shave my head off. And it is what it is, it happened. I was a friend everybody made fun of. I was the boy girls laughed at. Until one day I wasn't. I grew out my hair. I started dressing better all of a sudden. I was on the basketball team. You know, I'm gonna be honest, my life felt like High School Musical. But what I didn't realize was my life was way simpler when I had shorter hair. When I didn't know how to dress. When I was being made fun of, my life was so simple at that point. So when I upgraded or glowed up or whatever you want to call it, it made me think I had to keep up these expectations forever and ever. I was always looking in the mirror, checking my hair. I was always worrying about the outfit I was gonna wear. I was always worried about how that girl thinks of me. It made my life way more complex than it was before. I started to overthink and try to be more accepted than ever because I didn't want to lose this feeling of acceptance. And the reason life was so simple before is because I didn't care what other people thought about me. I already knew they was gonna make fun of me. I already knew I was gonna get that girl. I didn't care. All I cared about was basketball, video games, my friends. That's all I cared about. I was happy and grateful for what I had. But when I started living my life to be accepted, that's when everything went downhill. That's when I felt lost in life. And another reason was basketball. Basketball was the number one thing that kept me focused in life, that kept me out of trouble. I was actually in love with basketball. I remember I had a shirt where it said basketball is my girlfriend, and people was making fun of me, but I didn't care because ball was life at that time. But you know, I didn't know at the time that basketball would have been one of my downfalls in life. So I worked so hard throughout middle school and high school, you know, just to be okay at basketball, just to be good. You know, it takes a lot of work to be great. But anyways, I still ended up going to college to pursue my basketball dreams. I was so worried about basketball, I was not worried about school. I was not worried about what was in the books. I was not worried about what was going on in class. I only cared about shooting the ball in the hoop. And after my first year of college, I got cut from the basketball team. And what made it worse was the text message the coach sent me. You know, I feel like he could have told me face to face, man to man. But no, he sent me a text message while I was working in Amazon. And I know for the ones that worked at Amazon, it is basically modern day slavery. So while I'm on the machine, I get a text message. I see the text, see that I'm cut. And honestly, I'm tearing up. Because not only am I working the worst job of all time, I got cut from my dreams. And you know, honestly, basketball wasn't the only thing I was going through. I had a traumatic breakup at the time. My girl was doing all the things that you would never expect. So that added onto it. I was having health issues too. I was skinny. I wasn't strong anymore. I was always out of breath playing basketball or just doing any type of exercise. I didn't know what was going on with my life. It was like one thing added on top of another just to break me down. So me being cut from the basketball team, it put anger in my heart. And I decided to go to another college and play basketball. Not to pursue education, not to get a degree. Simply for revenge. I just wanted to play my old team and show them what he lost. And I didn't know that was gonna be another spiral downwards. So while I was on this new basketball team, yes, I was still skinny, I was still out of breath all the time, I was still going through health issues. But while I was so focused on revenge and just playing basketball, I became broke. I remember the job I had at the time was at a grocery store, but I was only working like one time a week because I had to focus on school and basketball. I remember my car declined for a drink that was like $2, $3. And I remember my coworker just snatched it from my hand and walked away. That put so much anger inside of me. So I had to make a choice: keep playing basketball while I'm getting cheated on by my girlfriend and stay broke, or drop out, make some money, and just go on to better things in life. And at this point, I have never felt so lost in life. You know, I've been through some shit in my life, but this, you know, I didn't know it could get worse. So I had to make a choice that I thought was correct at the time. As a man, I knew nobody was coming to save me. Not my parents, not my friends, not my girl. I had to lock in. I got 2 jobs. I started making money. I started eating right. I started lifting more weights. And you know, I thought this would make life better. Yes, I had more money. Yes, I wasn't worried about my ex anymore. But I still felt so lost in life. Something was missing. You know, growing up, I always knew I wasn't capable of working a regular job. A regular 9 to 5. I knew that I had to do something different, and at the time, it was basketball. But I always kept content creation in the back of my mind. People would always tell me, bro, I want to make content, I want to make YouTube videos, I want to make TikToks, but I'm just too scared, I don't have time. Well, I realized there's not really competition in content creation. Obviously, you see a lot of people posting, you see a lot of reels, you see a lot of TikToks, you see a lot of YouTube videos. That's because you're scrolling all day. You're consuming instead of producing. So this gave me the idea to actually do what everybody else is afraid of. Putting the camera down and just recording and trying to make a living out of it. So with all the money I have saved up, I bought a PC, I bought a MacBook, I bought a camera, I bought tripods, I bought lighting. You know, that sounds like a lot, but in reality, it's the bare minimum. I went all in, but my first few YouTube videos, they were terrible. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know what I was saying, but I knew I had to get the first stages of embarrassment out the way. Because honestly, I should have been doing YouTube a long time ago. But doing content creation in general, it gave me purpose again. It gave me something to work hard for. I realized when I started doing content creation, I felt like my younger self that didn't care what other people thought. Because I know when you do a content creation or something out the ordinary, you just have to block out other noise of people talking mess. People making fun of you. The world is full of haters because you are doing something that they aren't capable of doing. You are doing something that they are afraid of getting made fun of for. Being thankful for what I had, not trying to live up to somebody else's standards. Only being better than what I was yesterday. That's all I care about now. So if you are lost due to a breakup, you lost your job, or you're just having an identity crisis, just know it's just life setting you on a different path to where you should have been before. So having all these upgrades and glow ups in my life, it led me down the way I was not supposed to be feeling. It led me away from not caring what other people think. It led me to living for other people instead of myself. So for the ones watching that did lose their girlfriend, work so hard that you could get a better girlfriend. Work so hard that she's going to regret losing you. You lost a job, work so hard that you get a better job with a better position. Or just start a rival company that's better than their company. And if you're having an identity crisis and you feel like doom is just awaiting for you, you know there are better things awaiting for you. That's why you feel that way.